All right, welcome everyone. So this is actually a big 2 weeks ahead of you because we only have really in this class this week and next week. So now would be a good time to start thinking about your personal creed document and how you're going to have it look, the format you're going to use, how you're going to package it all up, because it will be due a week from this Friday. Next week, we'll do Personal Creed Document 7 and your final Personal Creed document all in 1 week. It goes fast here at the end. The last week of the course, there's one assignment that will take you about 5 minutes, maybe 10. And that is you will write a letter to a future student. That it is scheduled to have a class meeting, but we are not going to do that. I'm just going to give everybody credit for it. There's really no reason to meet that last week because it would take 2 minutes to talk about that last week. So what we'll do this week is we're going to cover the law of gratitude. And we're going to, and the art of living with love. We're going to talk about this week's creed document. One more opportunity for extra credit. And then next week, we'll do the meeting again on Monday because I want to have it early because that's going to give you time to finish up your stuff. I will show you some examples again. We'll talk about what I'm looking for as far as grading. You'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm going to grade a little bit differently than what's in the book or in the syllabus. I have that prerogative. So this week, we're talking about the law of gratitude. And I'm just going to show you a couple of things and a couple of references. Then we'll show you a couple of examples, and we'll have this be a little shorter meeting because I really want everybody to watch the video, the TED Talk that I shared in the email. This is the first TED Talk that we watched in the class for extra credit. I'll still give you extra credit if you haven't watched it, if you want to watch it again. If you've already watched it and got extra credit, we won't do it twice. But Shawn Achor in that TED Talk did talk about the power of gratitude, the positive psychology practice of writing down each day 3 new things that you're thankful for. And he also talks about the value of journaling with the emphasis of journaling on the positive things that happened. The next one, this is an old picture. This used to be a film that DeWitt Jones put together, still out there. But recently he did a TED Talk. So he's now gone from having hair to being bald, but that's okay. But he's a National Geographic photographer, and his philosophy in life is to celebrate what's right with the world. And if you'll watch that TED Talk, it's not too long, like 18 minutes maybe, and let me know that you watched it in the class meeting report at the end of the week, or whenever you do it. I'll make sure to give you an extra 10 points extra credit for that. It's a really great lesson and one that I try to remember every day a little bit. Just a couple other ideas on this. This is something that I put in my book. This comes from a book called Hardwiring Happiness. So let me ask this question before I talk about this. We actually talked about this in church Sunday, and I'd love to have your perspective from either the chat box or if someone wants to just talk about it. Is it possible to have gratitude when life is kicking your butt, when you're having hard times? Is it possible to live with gratitude when you're experiencing hard times? And how do we do that? So I've got one good yes from Annie. Any ideas, any thoughts? This might be a lot to type into chat, so if someone wants to be brave enough to hop on and speak with us all. Anybody have any personal experience from that?
I could share something.
Sure, thank you.
So on my mission, I struggled a lot with different things, but at the beginning, I was just ready to go home, just not really adjusting to my companion well. And what I would start doing, I had a notebook by my bed where I would just sit and write all the things I was thankful for. And it definitely changed my mindset because it was like, yeah, I'm struggling here with my companion in like the middle of the summer in this California heat, but just thinking about like why I was there and like good things, even if it was like something as simple as like marshmallows or I get to eat cereal in the morning or plants, like it just, those things made me happy and it made it better.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That is perfect. Anybody else? Joshua says yes, but it's not always easy. Try to notice the little things each day. Okay, good. And from Abigail, completely. I feel like when times are hard, I believe that the good things are more potent. It's like turning on a light in the darkness. A little bit of light dissolves the darkness. Okay, that's actually a really good segue to something I'm going to share in a minute. Sadie says, absolutely look at President Monson and other members of the First Presidency. They chose to be grateful even when their wives died or experienced physical tragedies. And we've seen that with our leaders of the church. They're not immune to hard things. Elder Neal A. Maxwell had leukemia. President Spencer W. Kimball, who was the prophet of my youth and mission, had heart problems, and he had cancer to the point that he couldn't speak normally. They removed part of his vocal cords. So in Hardwiring Happiness, this is another book that I would recommend if someone wants to dive into this topic. The author, Rick Hanson, says, we tend, natural man, me, and maybe natural man, all of us, we tend to kind of grab on to the negative. He says we're like Teflon for the good things and we're Velcro to the bad things. And when we have bad things, it's hard to kind of shrug them off necessarily. But he says that we have this neuroplasticity. It's kind of like the psychocybernetics and the expectation stuff we've talked about. We can kind of develop hardwire our brain. And he says that the neurons that fire together wire together. So if we're in a constant state of negativity and challenges, we can kind of develop a negative mindset. We can kind of be prone to pessimism instead of inclined to optimism. So he said this is a practice. He calls it HEAL. And so when you're having a trial, and I love the marshmallow analogy, the look for little things that take off the darkness is exactly what we're talking about here. This is very intentionally embracing and having a positive experience. So let's use Rexburg. If you're in Rexburg now, you know that we're getting snow and it's wet. It's actually very pretty. I love winter for the first month, and then I'm tired of it for the next 3 in Rexburg. Without I'm being negative. So what you need to do is have a positive experience. When you go outside, instead of saying, man, it is cold, make it a positive experience. Breathe in the crisp air. Feel the snow. Feel the cold on your face. Watch how bright the lights are at night. Some mornings when the frost freezes on the trees here, or the snow, it's humid and it freezes on the trees, we end up having winter wonderland. Have a really positive experience. And then don't just have it for a second. Embrace it. Be in it. Be present with it and absorb it for a few minutes and just drink in the beautiful thing that it is. It could be as simple as, tonight I'll go in and tuck my daughter into bed, my 12-year-old daughter, and I could just kiss her on the cheek and get about being busy doing something else. Or I could say, no, I'm just going to lay beside her for a few minutes and stroke her hair and tell her I love her and just embrace that moment, that present, that mindful present for a few minutes. And sometimes, and this is exactly what was shared earlier about the marshmallows and your mission, sometimes you can link the positive and the negative. Like the cold outside could be negative, but you can make it positive. Sometimes when I lay in bed at night, and I have dealt with insomnia in the past because I have anxiety, I can lay there and be really ticked off that I'm not falling asleep. Or I could just say, you know what, I'm going to really enjoy my pillow. I kind of like my pillow. I like the smell of it. I like the feel of it. I like moving to the cool part of the pillow and just love my pillow for a few minutes. And that will make the negative disappear. So remember, heal. And if we get a practice of doing this, repetition practice, we can develop a more positive mindset. We call that learned optimism. Now, here's just a couple other books that I would recommend. Man's Search for Meaning talks about the power of embracing the good in your life. Viktor Frankl survived in a concentration camp, and he tried to find a little beauty, even if it's just watching a bird on the fence that kept him from freedom, the barbed wire thing. And I like this one. This one is a great talk by Elder Worthland, Come What May and Love It. Byron Katie wrote a book called Loving What Is, a really, really good book. And then I shared with everybody the email about Jerry. So let's talk about this personal creed document, and then we'll end a little bit sooner, maybe. We'll try and keep this just a couple minutes longer. This is one of my favorite personal creed document parts, and it tends to lean itself a little bit more to multiple pages, maybe. It's not a requirement, but there are 3 parts to it. The first part is to identify people who have made a difference in your life. Identify them, write them down. This could be similar to your board of advisors, but who are the people who've made a difference in your life? And so in this example, Mom and Dad, Brother Morris, President Red, Melissa, third companion, and just be grateful for what they've done for you. And if you want to, and I think this is a recommendation from Inner Victory, if you really want to take it to the next step, actually send them a note or give them a call or send them a text. If they're living still or reachable, just tell them tomorrow or this week to your third companion or President Red, hey, I've been thinking about you. I'm just very grateful for the positive influence you've been in my life. That gratitude expression is super powerful. Part 2 is to identify a few events that were impactful, super important, super valuable in your life. A couple of examples here: reading the Book of Mormon, the Green Light Prayer, saying no to porn, hearing my mother cry. And you're not going to be able to express gratitude to an event except for writing it down here, and be grateful for the time that your mission president, this is something from my personal creed document, and I shared this story with you earlier in the semester. The time my mission president gave me a really simple advice on how to get better grades. And it changed my life. It changed my schooling. It changed my future. And he gave it to me in 10 minutes on my final interview before I came home. Adopting Isaac, our son, was an event that changed my life. It's proven to be a hard and cool thing. It's the coolest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing we've ever done. Sadly, and I don't need to go into details here, but we have experienced in a lot of different cases and recently blatant racism in Southeast Idaho and in where we live. And I didn't think it would happen. I hoped it wouldn't, but it's very, very real. So we deal with that, and it's a hard thing, but it's still a great thing. Which leads to number 3, because this can trump 1 and 2. We could be grateful to all these people who've made a difference and be very grateful to these great events in our lives and express gratitude and be thankful for them. But holding grudges, having anger towards people or others can ruin the rest of it, because it can become almost an obsession. So third part, number one, I'll mention remove again. I'm going to show one more example. Number one, people who've made a difference, write down why they're there, and not a required part of the assignment, but a good idea to go thank them. 2, list some events that have made a difference in your life. And 3, write just a paragraph, something, your plan, your hope, the value of not holding a grudge, letting things go, forgiving other people. I would recommend 3 conferences ago, maybe 2, watching Elder Holland's talk on the power and the value of forgiveness, which, by the way, is a commandment. Okay, example 2, people. And this first example, all the people listed on one page, which is perfectly fine. Second example, all the events listed on one page. This example, 1 page per. Actually, he did one then and then another, but you could list each person on one page. Miss Sister Hogan, Sister Gilchrist, Sister Hardy, Sister Bean, second Sister Bean, random young English President Adam, Brother Clark, Brother Tennis. Why they're there, and switch points. Again, just points that they've listed, and dealing with negativity, dealing with grudges, a plan for that. Another example, 1 per page here, events, serving a mission, influential people now on 1 page, and I didn't include a forgiveness one there. But okay, so any questions that anybody has about this week? Okay, next week we'll have the meeting early. Be thinking, you'll get ahead of the game, and we know how end of semesters go. Work tends to pile up, but it would be a good idea to get ahead of the game by thinking now about how you're going to package this. There is no set format. I find that PowerPoint is the easiest to embed things, pictures and quotes and other things. You can do it as a PDF. You can do it as a Prezi. You can do it in Word. If you are not the person, don't fake this, right? Just because you've seen examples with flowers and bows and cool graphic design doesn't mean you have to do that. If that's not you, it doesn't have to be you. But if it is you, make it you. Celebrate this personal creed document. Have it be a celebration of you, okay? All right, any last questions? I'm looking at chat. I'm hoping maybe to hear from 1 or 2 of you. I'll stay on for a few minutes to answer any. If not, we'll look forward to next week and wrapping things up. All right. Seeing none and hearing none, we will see you next week. I'll stay on again, but thank you all.